outside of the WWE title change, the other big thing I think people were waiting to see as far as how this is going to play out was the first real interaction, the first in-ring interaction between Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill, who are now on a collision course for the WWE Women's Championship at WrestleMania. But there has been other drama and controversy around these two on social media that was going on all week, which is why people were very curious to see how this segment was going to turn out. So we take it back to Mike Johnson via PW Insider. And this has since been circulated in various other places, but this is what he reported earlier in the week. We are told the back and forth between Jade Cargill and other WWE performers was not something devised by WWE Creative, with a number of sources placing the blame for the blow-up on Cargill. Now, let me stop there. If you missed it, there was a I don't remember how it started. I think it started with Rhea and Jade, and then other people ended up jumping in like Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, kind of ganging up on Jade. It was just, trash talking that was going back and forth. And it was very, some of the stuff was very cringe, especially when Jade, I think, brought up the creative team and Rhea cozying up to the creative. It was like, what is this? You know what I mean? But that's how it all started. And then it sort of just spiraled out of control, and people were like, oh, is it a work? Is it a shoot? So that's what he's referring to. One source noted that Cargill has been criticized by a number of talents for how she rubs others the wrong way, and that when the back and forth with Rhea began, it wasn't hard for others to want to jump in and voice their opinions. They cited this wasn't the first time that Jade has upset others with how she conducted herself, and intimated that when there were erroneous reports about Jade being hurt last year, the real reason she disappeared and spent time in the WWE Performance Center was to let personal issues going on at the time subside with the passing of time. So actually what he's referring to is 2024, which is when they shot that angle where Jade was found dead on the car, and we had the big mystery of, who done it with Jade Cargill. She went away for a while. Another source in the company tried to downplay the situation, but later on admitted that sooner or later they expected management would have to step in and speak to Cargill about her relationship with the locker room. The source noted that everyone in the locker room has been happy to do whatever they need to do to get Jade over, but that respect that they show her does not feel requited. They described it as Cargill coming off as insecure when she should not have any reason to feel that way. One source close to Cargill blew off the entire situation, citing that she is a type A personality and that this is what happens when competitive personalities are in the same space. One aspect of the situation that multiple people we spoke to found troubling was the idea that Rhea Ripley was presented by Jade on Twitter as someone kissing up to or chasing WWE Creative to get attention, which we are told is not how Rhea conducts herself. One person described it as an upsetting character assassination. The exchange over the weekend led to Ripley posting on social media, "Not having fun, not friends, learn to work, and never lie to defame someone's real human character by, quote, breaking the fourth wall." Whenever I see stuff like this, to me, it's all just silly nonsense. There's a way to leverage social media in a situation like this, I think, to try to get people excited or invested or believe that there's real heat between two people. And then there's just times where you're posting stuff that, again, it's just very cringe, and it's very, when you break the fourth wall and you start getting into some of the shit that they were getting into here, it's just this doesn't do anything to make me any more interested in seeing these two get in the ring and wrestle. Right? Maybe there's a way to do that on social media. This ain't it. This is one of those situations that just everybody came off looking bad, which led to the segment on Friday night. They had a face-to-face in the ring, and Jade went first. And the first thing she did was she put her hand out for a handshake, and Rhea reluctantly accepted. And Jade was giving her flowers and said, I'm shaking your hand because I respect you. And she went through all of Rhea's accomplishments and how the fans loved her. I respect you, but I'm not impressed. And then she talked about her physique being better than Rhea's, and she said that she was going to beat the hell out of Rhea at WrestleMania, and there's nothing you could do about it because I'm that bitch. So then it was Rhea's turn, and she put a hand out. She said, I respect the honesty. She told Jade that she respected her physically. Her arms may be bigger, her shoulders may be bigger, her legs may be bigger. But she said that even if Jade gave her her best shot, she would not stay down. But if Rhea delivered her best shot, ain't no way that Jade would get back up. And she said that Jade's body was built for show. My body is built for fighting. When that bell rings, you can flex all you want to, but I'm going to fight, and I'm going to take that WWE Women's Championship away from you, and there's nothing you could do about it because I'm that bitch. And she had her mic drop moment. Jade did the same thing where she dropped the mic. Boy, we have really taken the idea of the mic drop moment and just completely bastardized it, haven't we? There were no real mic drop moments here. That's number one. I also didn't think the promo was as awful as I heard some people like, oh my God, this is like such a terrible promo. It wasn't great. I've seen worse. Maybe the worst thing I could say about it is that it really didn't do a whole hell of a lot to get me excited for their match, right? And there's still 6 weeks left. Believe me, they're going to have to come up with some ideas on what to do with these two women in the next 6 weeks. So we'll see what they have up their sleeve. I'm not terribly encouraged. But I said this last week, I think. I said this, even coming into this. Jade Cargill is not someone that you can rely on to cut like a long promo. She has sound bites. And then she has her closing line, I'm that bitch. A lot of her promos are literally 30 seconds long. Like after she won the championship, I want to say the first time we saw her on television in the ring, she got in the ring, she said a few words, 20 seconds later, she was done. WWE treats her promos the way they treat her matches, where they want to hide her weaknesses. Her weakness is wrestling. She's not a great wrestler. She's capable. She can do the things that she does well. But if you have her in there for too long, or you have her in there with the wrong person, she'll be exposed. And it's the same thing on the microphone. She's not going to go out there and give you a great 5-minute promo. I mean, there are people on the roster who can do a great 10 or 15-minute promo. But you're not going to get a whole lot out of her. You have her go out there and you kind of hit the greatest hits, you hit the closing line, and you go home. But Rhea Ripley, in all the years that she's been in WWE, and I love Rhea, and I think Rhea's had some great matches. She's had much better matches than Jade Cargill has had. She's a better wrestler than Jade is. She's not a great promo either. Where is this one Jade or Rhea Ripley promo or two Rhea Ripley promos that you can point me to that are sort of like on her mantle as like her greatest work? There really is not any one single promo I could think of, right? She's okay, but she's not great. And so you have two women here who have 6 weeks left now to promote a WrestleMania match where promos are not exactly their strong suit. And so I don't know what they're going to do here. But I still maintain this is, as a match at WrestleMania, the best match that they were left with. Once Bianca, it was clear Bianca was not going to be back. And once they decided to eliminate Charlotte from even being in the Elimination Chamber, and they went a different way, the only other name that made sense was Rhea Ripley. It is still the biggest match at the moment that they could do. Getting there, though, is going to be rough. They didn't draw, by the way, on any of the social media stuff in this promo. And I don't believe for a second the social media stuff was all a shoot. It just so happens that these two are getting in a social media tiff when they have a WrestleMania match with no backstory to promote. You got to be kidding me. Do I think that it draws on some very real opinions about Jade? Sure. I'm sure they're working that into their tweets and their comments, right? But they're working it into a shoot. They're trying to get something going here, which is why it was puzzling to me that they didn't draw from any of that here in this segment. I don't think that means, that means it was a shoot. No, I don't believe for a second that the whole thing was a shoot. I think they're trying to get something going for WrestleMania. Maybe in the weeks to come, they will draw on some of the social media stuff, but they didn't draw on any of it here. And the stuff that they did do was very bare bones. So it's going to be a struggle. This is the match they're left with. It's the biggest match they could do, but it's going to be a struggle. And honestly, I think if you had Charlotte Flair in this situation, I don't think the promos would be that much better. I think you'd be in the same exact position where it's going to be an uphill climb for them to get to WrestleMania. Just to get to that match and get it over with, it's going to be an uphill climb.